Okay, so we actually met through like the freshman roommate database type thing. Like you fill out a questionnaire and they kind of like give you people that gave similar answers, and we matched, or were one of the matches, and we started talking via Facebook, and we actually roomed together for the one night orientation. But we didn't room together freshman year, but we lived in the same building, and I just lived the floor above him. And we both were distance runners in high school, so that was a common interest that we had. And we started running together in the fall of freshman year, and we started hanging out a lot. And then in the winter of freshman year, when it got really cold out and we started running on the treadmills instead of out in the cold, we started using Josh's GoPro to analyze our foot strike and like how our own running stride was, and we were just comparing it and with some of our friends that also ran, and we were seeing like we were trying to determine like what type of strike was more efficient. And then Josh kind of took this to his advisor, and that's how our project started.
We started with the GoPro on treadmills, and we would upload the videos and sort of map markers on our shoe and analyze the gait in that way. And I brought it up in an advising meeting with my advisor, Professor Winninger, and he said, "This is really cool, but this can't do. So we gotta up it up, take it up to the next level." And he suggested building a device that's capable of doing what we were doing with the GoPro, but in a lot less clunky manner. So the videos would take forever to analyze. You would have data that you collect and then analyze a week later, or however long, whereas this device could give us results nearly immediately with very little lag between analyzing the jumper or the athlete and taking that data to the coach and giving him real-time feedback.
I mean, I guess just our background in it, we both ran all through high school, and it was interesting to see our own strides and see like maybe it's something that we can fix, because we both know like there's two strikes in running. You either strike with your heel or your forefoot, and we know that sprinters strike more with their forefoot and maybe less competitive runners strike more with their heel, and we wanted to compare those and see if there's a difference. So essentially it's a wireless in-shoe force sensor. So we have like a box that you wear, a strap around your ankle, and then 3 sensors go into your shoe. There's 2 on the forefoot and 1 on the heel, and essentially the device is measuring like what part of your foot strikes first, how hard they strike, and like how quickly you're getting off the ground. And we've recently shifted from our interest in distance running, after talking to the track and field coach, to jumpers, and we're going to use our device to see how much force they're applying to the ground while jumping and how quickly they're getting off the ground. Coach Warren of the track and field team seems very enthusiastic that it will help. He really wants to see like week-to-week analysis of the jumpers and see like how to train the jumpers in certain weeks leading up to the event so that they'll peak in their meet.
We have definitely had a ton of help through this project. Very, very early on, Garrett and I had zero background in engineering, circuitry, none of that, and we had a meeting with an electrical engineering professor here at Hartford who sat with us for probably about 2 hours and went through the entire device, helped us set it up. We problem solved, troubleshooted, got everything worked out. We got a working circuit. So that was the first big step. The next, we ran into problems with getting the device in an athlete's shoe, keeping it small enough. So we worked with 2 bioengineering students, Jake Crosby and Emma Donnelly here at Hartford, and 2 bioengineering students were very, very capable, got us a device that's rigged up and is small enough. So now we're getting closer and closer to having a full mobile device that we can rig up on an athlete and test in a mobile type setting. Professor Winninger met with one of the prospective athletes along with Coach Warren, and Coach Warren said, "This is really, really awesome. Let's keep it going." So it should be really, really cool to work with him and the athletes here at Hartford.
Yeah, we had a recruit on campus. Her name's Katie Murphy. She's now a freshman, and she's interested in our prosthetics and orthotics department. It's one of the top programs in the country, so we're pretty fortunate to have them here. So I walked her over. She wanted to meet with Dr. Mike Winninger, and Mike was gracious enough to let me in. He said, "Come check out our work we're doing. I think you'll like it." You know, kind of went from there. Both Josh and Garrett were high school distance runners. They were pretty good, and they were looking at it for injury prevention. And they were looking at where the foot would strike in the ground. They were trying to create some different like Wi-Fi options, so if you're out running, some Bluetooth type stuff, whatever. And I met with Mike and I asked if they could measure force in the ground and reaction time off the ground for the jump specifically. For instance, the high jump, your last 2 steps are quick, quick, flat, flat. And if we can measure that reaction time off the ground, numbers don't lie. So that's measurable data we can feed back to our kids, and that kind of sets us apart from most programs in the country.
Coach Warren has been hammering home time on the ground. He wants to analyze how long an athlete's spending on the ground, the force output that they're utilizing when they're releasing, and all this he hopes to combine with the types of workouts he's using throughout the week, whether it's a big workload week or a sort of a rest week with a lot of technique work, all stuff that I'm not very educated on, but he is very interested in maximizing their performance while minimizing sort of that injury risk and trying to find out which athlete responds to different training weeks. That way he can have his athletes 100% ready for that big meet at the end of the season.
It can also be used as injury prevention. So Mike and I, we've discussed how we're going to measure the data. So for the next 3 months on Fridays, we will look at our workload, the volume, the intensity, his reaction time slowed, are they put as much force into the ground, and we can see which workouts specifically need to be tailored to make each kid more explosive. So it's really going to, during the American East Championship time, when we need to maybe back off a kid sooner, maybe this kid needs more volume, we kind of adjust their workouts. So if they're really heavy, like 2 weeks in a row at a certain time of the year, the numbers aren't going to lie, so we can back off. So performance enhancing basically, but injury prevention as well. I'm really happy that Josh and Garrett are starting to get some recognition. Along with Mike, they've worked really hard. They're putting in their time. It's their traditional student body along with their other classes. They're working in their dorm room on this anytime they have time. The amount of hours is just amazing they put in. So I'm excited for them, to be honest, more than anything.
All the help we've gotten is Hartford staff, other Hartford students. This project's very, very cool in that it crosses a lot of lines in terms of working with the athletics. It's tying in the academic end and different areas of the academic side. You have CETA, the engineering school, working with, we're health science students, and I'm a prosthetics and orthotics student. We're having a lot of ties between that and physical therapy and a lot of different areas of the university that's really getting everyone involved.
I'm a physical therapy major. I'm not sure if we necessarily immediately applied it to our major, more of just our general interest, but now that we've gotten more into the project, we see that it can definitely, it'll be useful to us in our future in the fields that we're going to go into.
They are so excited. Told them some different things we can measure, and they're like, "Coach, that's awesome." My coaches say this in high school, the eye test, this and that. Now we actually have real data, and they're pretty excited to see how it's going to help them throughout the season.
As of now, we're going to hopefully be collecting data soon, not using our device, because we're still working out kinks with that, but we came up with a new idea in the Human Performance Lab here on campus. We can test the jumpers using the force plates in the lab and a wired-in sensor, and we can immediately collect data and have real-time results and feedback.
Today, looking at athletes jumping off a force plate, and we'll be able to analyze the time they spend on the ground, along with their force output and some other factors that could tell us what kind of jumper they're looking at for the season and maybe areas they could improve in terms of how much time they're on the ground or specific techniques that they're utilizing.